I think it's a great, a timely theme. A good idea can come from anywhere. I think there's a renewed focus on Asia and what is coming out of the hotter markets in Asia, and Korea being one of them. Let me introduce our panel. We have DJ Lee, the president of media content at CJ E&M. A decade ago, launched, well, a little bit less than a decade ago, launched the formats division of a enormous group and the hottest market in Asia. So we've got a best-in-class guest here with us. And Fotini runs Endemol Group Asia. It says here you're a veteran, can I use that word? And 20 years plus experience in the market. And again, I think another best-in-class organization as far as the global footprint is concerned of your organization and the ability to tap into global trends. So I think bringing these two companies together on a project like this is bound to be successful, albeit very difficult. We haven't had many success stories in Asia about these types of partnerships, and I think this is an excellent case study to be bringing to an audience for us to discuss how it came about, why it works, what can be done to build upon that success story and what there is in the future. So I thought we'd just start, given Korea is, I would say, the hottest market in Asia at the moment for ideas, idea generation, the spot everybody's looking for the next big thing. Maybe you could share a little bit with us about what you see in your market as being trending.
This day in Korea, I think the big trend is candle protest.
The what? Sorry, say again.
Candle protest, the candle meeting,
Yeah, the politics are pretty interesting.
Just kidding, yeah. I think, in Korea, focused on the young generation, they are really smart customers, I think, these days, They save their money, but, they spend much on very valuable things, and that's also the same to the selection of contents, too, I think, all days, they just, watch the programs, presented by the broadcasters, yeah, very, not, aggressive watchers, but these days they select their content according to their, very valuable standard, I think, So they think of the sharing and empathetic in content's essence, and, when they think that is a very valuable content, and they are very eager to share the content by using the social media and the website. Yeah. So very active and aggressive viewers now. Yeah.
So strong competition.
Yeah. So they really like the reality shows. Which they can have a very good experience. Indirectly. In their content.
I mean, if you were to compare your market with Japan, for example, both two highly creative communities of media executives, Japan, they really are just thinking about their own audience. They make fantastic content, but it's still very Japanese. Whereas, I'm curious, do the Korean producers and your team, are they thinking of an international audience when they make their local content, or are they still very focused on the Korean audience?
Yeah.
Are they thinking about the international audience? Are they thinking about the Korean audience primarily?
These days, they are also thinking about the international market too, because they need the local market is very limited, and the advertising revenue is the averaging 3 years is -4 point decrease in the advertising revenue.
So you have a very important division now.
Sure. Yeah,
so Fotini, in terms of your view, you have a global view really of the appetite for certain genres and certain types of content. What are you seeing, and do you get a sense that there's more interest in looking at Asia for new ideas?
Yeah, so for us globally, the trends really are more in social experimentation and interactivity and digital. I think in terms of social experimentation, that's really growing in European and US markets. But in terms of interactivity, I think actually there's faster growth here in Asia. I also think that in the past, picking up content from other non-traditional territories globally has been a bit difficult. I think it's a different mindset, and the revenues haven't necessarily been there. But I think in the last 18 months, that mindset is changing slightly, which is how I guess our partnership came about. And the good thing I think about our company, Endemol Shine, is that we are starting to look at content from places where we never would have before. And it's partly because there's been a threshold reached in content in traditional territories like the US and the UK or Northern Europe, and they just can't find the new innovative ideas, so they have to look a bit further, and that's great timing for us.
I mean, you've always been, with our previous relationship professionally, I know you've always been very keen on originating content in Asia. You've been a big advocate of really the message of this discussion, a good idea can come from anywhere. Has there been a personal motivation now that you've got the business card of a global company behind you that you've driven ahead with that? Or have you had a message down from the Shine Group to say, look, you know, you've got to strike partnerships with best-in-class organisations like CJ? How did this happen?
From our perspective, I think it was a question of timing. It's been partly a personal mission, as you say, Patrick, because I've been in our Asian industry for a very long time, and it's frustrating to see that we have amazing talent and amazing ideas, but we just can't get them to the global market. But it's also a question of timing, because like I said, with Endemol Shine, you know, the global content market is highly competitive, extremely so, and they were just ready to seek ideas from other places. But it was really down to us here in Asia to come up with a good idea and a good partnership, and then push that internally to the global stage, and I think we did.
So was that a difficult internal exercise to persuade that endorsement of a deal like this, or was it quite happily embraced?
I think we had some real champions.
I was going to say, you're moving around your chair a lot there. That's a difficult question, was it? But
No.
you've done this before in other parts of the world, right? Endemol has.
Not in the same way,
Okay,
no.
well, good.
Not in the same
Wow,
way. I
okay.
think the relationship and the structure that we have for this particular
Fantastic.
project is totally different. And we'll go out into that a bit later, but we set out from the onset to create something, and our aim was for headlining at MIPCOM, which we achieved.
Wow.
So yes, I did have to go through some...
Well, I guess with anything new like this, it's a harder sell. I mean, it's a new process.
I mean, internally, it's a new process, so we did have to go through some hurdles, but the idea was good, the platform and the relationship was good, so we made it.
So before we move to the process, and we'll discuss that in a minute, and I think that's where the learnings are, if I could just ask DJ, in terms of CJ, what are the major benefits for you of a partnership like this?
I think that we have built some reputation in Korea by creating hit content like the Genius Game, But Like They Never, and 3 Meals a Day. Those kind of contents were and are praised by the young generation from 20 to 30s. And now that we wanted to identify global audience who will appeal to our future content, and we are very eager to collaborate the very powerful global partners to make that kind of a global content, because we don't have not many experience about that, so we are willing to co-work with very good partners like ESG. And the greatest benefit is from having that kind of experience when we produce, together and making some items which will appeal to the global audience, and how that kind of content is being made properly to globally, and distributed over the world. So those kind of experience, and we also learned about many the world standard,
The what? Sorry, I missed that.
world standard in projection, in global market.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, good. Fotini, in terms of the process, you obviously ended up with one idea, a big idea that we'll talk about in a moment. Was the intention to end up with one idea, or was there? What was the sort of model, and how did you filter ideas, and how were they contributed to the, I guess, the sets of executives that were tasked with choosing the best ideas? Tell me a little bit about that process. How did that creative process work?
Well, we both teams came to the table with different sets of ideas and different expectations, actually, and different ways of working. So
Sounds like fun.
I think it took actually a few months to understand each other, and that was one of the biggest hurdles, I think. In terms of the idea, it was really much a focus-driven project, so it was coming up with one idea and focus on
that was
this
the
one
objective.
idea. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, just one idea.
Yeah.
And what we ended up doing is creating a brand new idea from scratch, from brainstorming, and DJ's got a very good team and some great creators. So it just started from there. We added our team from Asia and international. So we hit on this idea. We questioned certain things. What if this happened? What if that happened? And that, I think, initially came from DJ's team. And then we built on that, building on what we know about the global industry, the global trends, and the global marketplace, and what our clients in the bigger territories want to see. So we put the two together, and that's how we came about.
I mean, we all know, most of the members of this audience will know as well, a paper format is quite hard to sell. So you've made this show now. It's on air now. We'll see a clip in a moment. Was it hard to persuade your other divisions that they should air this show, that you should actually go into production and make it? Or was that always understood right from the start, that the one show that's chosen will be broadcast? Tell me a little bit about that, because I would imagine there'd be a little bit of resistance if the programming department was told they have to air something. So maybe just tell me a little bit about that, that process.
I think this kind of project was a very big challenge for us because we don't know the Western people very well. We just focused on our Korean local market, and we so and our creator also tried to catch the trend in Korea, and but that is a very big challenge for us. But our Korean production team try to be open to take some ideas from the ESG team, and I think it is very good chance for us to have that kind of good inspiration from ESG to review the global audience in their way of thinking to choose some items and. Fortunately, we have one creator who is very specialized in reality show and developing game and competitive structure in program, and the Korean young generation were very inspired by that intellectual aspect of his program, and so his characteristics now was some benefit for us to collaborate the ESG team, because ESG, as far as I know, ESG is very good at making the reality shows.
So did you have some translators work with both your creative teams, or was English the chosen language to develop this concept? How did the actual creative process work? Because anybody who's very good in their country at their content generally only speaks their language, because they're so parochial and so good at what they do. They generally aren't bilingual. was English the chosen language of your development process?
No, actually, we just focused on the Korean market first.
Yeah, right.
And
okay.
ESG team, they devoted their effort to the translating
Understanding it. Okay,
the
good.
Western
Okay.
countries'
That's
view.
interesting. Okay.
So there was a very
Well, I'm curious at that approach. That's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add that, like DJ said, we were very focused on trying to understand the Korean local market and the trends.
Well, because it's popular, right?
Yeah, and how the producers and the creators were thinking. I mean, initially it was very difficult for our team, I admit, but we got there. But also the focus was to create a show that was good enough to air on TV in Korea.
Right. Okay.
And then from there, but it had to then also straddle international. So
Right.
that's a very fine line.
Got it. And I don't know if it's lucky or something you predicted, but it's certainly a hot subject, politics, isn't it? It's certainly a hot subject in Korea, and this show really is about society and politics, and it's called The Society Game. And I think this would be a good opportunity to have a quick look at a clip, and then we'll talk a little bit about what the future holds for this type of relationship. If we can roll the clip. Is that ready?
소사이티 게임은 사회와 리더에 대한 흥미로운 실험입니다. 22명의 참가자들은 폐쇄된 원양마을에서 2주간 합숙하게 될 것입니다. 원양마을 안에는 2개의 사회가 공존합니다. 투표로 매일 새로운 리더가 선출되는 사회. 소수 권력의 반란에 의해서만 리더가 바뀌는 사회. 이 두 사회는 매일 챌린저를 통해 경합을 펼치게 됩니다. 승리한 팀의 리더는 팀원들에게 상금을 나눠주게 되며 패배한 팀의 리더는 자신의 팀 구성원 중 한 명을 탈락시켜야 합니다. 총 11번의 챌린지를 거쳐 파이널 챌린지에 진출하게 되는 참가자는 팀당 3명뿐입니다. 파이널 챌린지에서 최종 승리한 팀의 생존자들만이 누적된 상금을 획득하게 될 것입니다. 두 개의 사회가 만나는 세상, 소사이티 게임에서 다시 뵙겠습니다.
달라. 주사위가 2개예요. 주사위 종류가 여러 개더라고요.
모양이 다른 주사위로 주민들이 혼란에 빠졌습니다.
아, 다른 주사위 주는 거 아니에요?
주사위 패턴이 실제 저 주사위랑 똑같아요. 여기 있는 사람들 다 계산 다 할 줄 알잖아.
쉬운 문제는 하지 말자.
이걸 찾느라 거기서부터 멘탈이 확 나간 거죠.
Okay, I think that's enough for the clip. We can fade that out.
다른 주민들에게 의지하지 않고 스스로
All right, thank you. I think you can see from the scale of it, it's quite a big show. And DJ, you were telling me earlier that it's only real politics that in Korea that's actually a bit more popular now than this show. But it's the zeitgeist, I guess, you've managed to capture it with a show about society and politics. Was it a risky move to be making a show on this subject matter, or was it something your development people had been thinking about for a while, this type of idea? Has it been in the development process for a while already, or is it a really quite a new concept for CJ?
Yeah, this is a very new concept for us, but the creator of this show is very specialized in making this kind of game and competitive plot in his content, as I said before. So this is new, but the relationship between the contestants and the building the very special power. Those kind of factors are very special.
So you've introduced some classic format elements to it, to a new idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this Society Game is a very new reality show that explores leadership and two different politics systems.
It's extraordinarily good timing. It's
authoritarian rule society
amazing.
and democracy society.
Fantastic. And it's no surprise, Fotini, you were saying that there's a few bidding wars going on, and it was the headline show at MIP for Endemol Shine Group, which is really extraordinary. So it bodes well for the concept, I think.
I think just to add on to what DJ was saying, so the initial discussion point came from CJ's creative team. One particular producer is a genius, should I say, in these kind of games, and we elaborated on it, and we brought to the table the timeliness of the whole thing. We are global and international, so we see what's traveling globally, and we could see that there was a trend in terms of social experimentation involving politics, and what if this happened, what if that went that way. That's why we decided collectively to go with this idea and launch it at market. So, and it worked, because then, you know, things happened in the US, we had Brexit, we even have Korea, now we have Italy, and so it currently is hot property. We have a bidding war going on in 2-3 big territories in the West. Hopefully we'll be able to make some announcements soon. But what we did do, this promo, for example, was one that was used in Korea, and when we launched it globally, we changed it slightly to suit the international audience, but keeping the essence. So it just piqued people's interest at the right time. And yeah, so that's where we are today.
In terms of, there's always going to be some losers in a bidding war like this, and the losers tend to, the first reaction is, okay, we missed this one. What else have they got? What else have these guys got? They've come up with something incredible. We've missed out. Maybe we could get a first look at the next thing they're developing, or what else have they got in the pipeline? Are you already thinking about capturing that next wave of business that will come on the back of the assumption, given there's a bidding war, the assumption that this will be a hit? How do you capture that? Because there'll be a bit of a stampede, and you really want to grab hold of that when the business is there. Are you thinking about new ideas already? Maybe DJ could start. Are you already thinking about what else you can do together in terms of formats?
Yeah, I always say to other partners that we are very open to get new and fresh idea and market around the world to create a global format, including ESG. So yeah, but not a concrete project is fixed yet, but we are working on the process, and yeah.
Okay, and so maybe just the development process you mentioned earlier sounds very logical, but I'm sure along the way there were learnings and adjustments to the creative process. Is this model going to be something you repeat next time, or will it be approached differently, the creative process and filtering down to one format? Are you going to simply replicate it? Is it a blueprint now?
So from our perspective, just dialing back a little bit, this project has been a real experience and extremely successful in many ways for us. Our strategy is all about being local but going global. We're a decentralized company, so any content is created locally with a view to be a hit in that territory and then make it travel. And I think with this in mind, this is why we decided to embark on this project with CJ. It certainly has piqued the interest and highlighted within my company globally that great content can come from anywhere. So now there's great interest in Endemol Shine to create more content from Asia. And we're certainly going to be doing more of this type of project next year. And the focus will always be origination locally to go global. That's our mantra, and that's always what we're going to be doing, whether in non-scripted or scripted. So in terms of the process, I think we all learned a lot. We certainly learned a lot because I think in Asia, things are not necessarily created in the same way as they are maybe in the US or the UK, and I think that's been a great learning, particularly for our international team. And I think there are elements of the process we can apply across the board, but each territory is going to be slightly different because the culture is unique and very, very different. But from my personal perspective, we will always focus on one project and make it happen because I believe in focus and launching.
On the subject of focus then, if this does kick off as you predict it will, and good luck, and I hope it does, that not only that obviously you'll get some sales given there's a bidding war, but that they actually outperform as well. Does that mean you'll be opening yourself up and welcoming more ideas from third parties across Asia, and maybe setting up some sort of unit that filters those ideas coming in? Because obviously there might be a bit of a stampede. Everybody thinks they've got a great idea, and I'm sure some of them are great ideas. Will you be soliciting them? And maybe some people in the audience would be quite interested in pitching ideas to you if the door is more than ajar, but just open for new ideas from Asia.
I mean, I think it's great timing for new ideas from Asia, because now we've got a voice to share ideas a bit more internationally. Having said that, Asia is still, in our company, quite seen as a small part of the business, but a growing business. So we're still a relatively small team. We have some more resources for creation and development next year, but it has to be about focus. And what is also key is the resources, the platform, and the distribution. We will look at everything. The idea.
So you're not sure yet, in other words, if you'll build out a capability to.
We're still building, but we're totally open to new ideas. But at the moment, I would say there has to be an avenue. Whether we bring that avenue to the table with a good idea, or the platform, or it won't be just us. We need another partner to make it happen.
In terms of CJ, this relationship is quite unique. Does this mean you will continue on in an exclusive fashion with ESG, or you'll be welcoming other conversations, maybe from people in the audience?
Be careful, DJ.
Yeah, I think it was very good start for us to act with ESG for global creation and developing. And if we have another chance, then we will think of it deeply. And also, we're open to good partners like ESG. So.
But the ultimate objective will, I guess, the basis for this success story from your side is the show must work in Korea.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's your first intention, correct?
Yeah, and I think we are building the global creation development system in Korea. So more and more creators could be, interested in global creation. And they want to, learn how the global contents are being made and distributed over the world. So
when a show like this is sold by ESG, will you be sending your producers over to the production?
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. And in terms of your inspiration, Korea's inspiration, you do originate a lot of great pop TV, pop culture has spread across Asia and the world. Is there an area that you Korean producers look for inspiration? How are they inspired? Is it totally indigenous and local, or do they look to the US or Europe, or how are they inspired?
They're very interested in other area audience.
Okay.
Too. But as you know very well, the Korea is the most advanced country in internet service system.
Okay,
in its speed and convenience. So many producers and creators can have some experience indirectly by using the internet, the YouTube or digital, distribution content. So the interest is growing during these days, but the language problem is a big problem for them. They have a very creative idea, but they wanted to translate it into English or other language.
But you have the fortunate situation where the rest of the world knows great ideas come from Korea. So it's up to the rest of the world, I think, to translate the Korean content, right?
Sure. Yeah, we hope so.
Well, it's been the model for this relationship, right?
Yeah, very interesting was the ESG chose the title as a Korean characters.
Oh, that's a direct translation.
That is not English character.
Actually, that's an interesting point, because one of the reasons why I think this corporation has been successful is because The idea internationally is fresh and new. It's a fresh take on social experimentation and reality, and it's timely. So what happened was we used the look, the style and feel of what CJ came up with to show and sell the show at MIPCOM, and it was hugely successful. The set is very Korean.
It looks amazing, yeah.
Which no one, to be honest, in European or the US would have come up with. So it was very unique, and that was a key selling point. The graphic, the look and the style was very timely. Everybody loved it. They loved the look and feel because it was so different to what they could come up with. And I think that's also a testament to the relationship and how, you know, something like this can put a totally different spin on something.
And do you think it will sell in Asia?
Yes, we're already close to closing one deal. Well, we're trying to finalize now. And we have strong interest in a few more territories, which we'll be looking at for next year.
Okay. Well, I mean, I posed the question to DJ in terms of the future and partnerships with other organisations. I might ask you as well. What would this model be rolled out to relationships for other countries that might be originating their own ideas, and they think, well, what about us? We've got some good ideas over here as well. Are there areas that you might look at first? Countries you might look at first?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's been interesting just globally that our company is now looking at similar projects maybe in other territories outside Asia, because it's not really been done in this way, so that's a good thing. And for us here in Asia, we are definitely keen on doing more in Korea, but also in Southeast Asia, where I'm now identifying territories and partners where we can work and do something together.
Look, I think it's fantastic. I think I wish you success with the bidding you've got going on for the format, because it only bodes well for the rest of the industry in Asia that a success story, a big success story, comes out of Asia, and it's great that it comes out of Korea, and then the rest of the world will be taking a closer look at the next wave of ideas. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.